Okay, we are golden. Let's get on with this. Hi, Energy. Good to see you. What time is it where you're at? Must be late in the evening, like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. It's good to see you. Okay, let's talk about what iridologists can and can't do and what they can and can't say. Because there's so much bad information out there. And if you are watching any of the social media platforms where iridologists are posting their little analyses, you know, when they are doing an analysis where people post the really poor quality photos. If you've been with me, you know how I feel about that. And it's 7 p.m. where you're at. Oh, nice. Perfect timing for you then. Not too late. One of the challenges with social media is that these people are posting things on Facebook and Instagram, and they're making claims and statements that are really not in good management. What do I mean by that? Well, the things they are saying, number one, most of them are diagnosing and prescribing, and if they're not medical doctors, that's bad. And Chrissy says it's 1 p.m. where she's at, so she's just a couple of hours away from me. But the other thing that happens here is that it gives all iridologists a bad name, right? And because when people see that kind of bad iridology where claims are being made, where bad information is being shared, they think that that is gospel truth. They think that that is exactly how it's supposed to be. And when someone who has legitimate training and years of experience tries to refute it or tries to explain why that's wrong, the good guy gets shot down and it's ludicrous, and it gives us all a bad name. You know, when we look at the medical world, and I'm not saying the medical world is wonderful, but they have standards across the board, right? If you are a medical doctor in the United States, you've passed certain exams, you've got certain training. That doesn't mean you're as good as or worse than any other doctors, but it means at least you've got the same training. That is not necessarily the truth with iridology. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of training that is also maybe not quite what it ought to be. When we are looking at iridology and iridologists, I'm going to stand boldly and say that the information that's out there that is bad is based on outdated and disproved information, things that have been proven wrong over the last 50 years. The iridologists who are up to date are practicing constitutional iridology. And the reason they are doing that is because constitutional iridology still has research going on. And that's exactly what we want, right? We want to have research going on. So important for us to keep up to date and to be moving ahead. Hi, Virgie, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us on Instagram. So just before we dive into the core of the content that we want to cover today, I want to just pitch this out there that the next session of Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology is starting on July 30th. If you are interested in learning more about an iridology program that is fully mentored, it's delivered online, live online, via webinars, fully mentored, lots of support, will prepare you for certification with IPA if that's your goal, then I want you to hop on over to iridology.education/course-info. That'll give you all the information. But do know registration closes Monday evening, and there's a limit of 10 students. And so if you're interested in learning iridology from someone who's got 40 years of experience and 3 different styles of iridology, and I've weighed and measured all of them, and I know that constitutional is the one that is the most accurate. It's also the most practical and the most easy to use when you understand it. And it's not based on frou-frou and hearsay, right? So if you're wanting a solid course, I invite you to hop on over to iridology.education/course-info and see what it's all about. And if you need more information that's there, although that page is pretty complete, if you need more, just reach out to me. Hi, Molly, good to see you. Glad you're joining us on Instagram. Alrighty. When we look at iridology, in a nutshell, what an iridologist can do is assess irides, right? We can assess the irides, and constitutional iridologists learn how to connect the dots. We call it triangulation. We learn how to not just see one marking and give it one meaning, but how does this marking and that marking and that marking, how do they work together? What kind of depth does that give us to the client's story? Really important for us to have that understanding. Depending on other training that we might have and the laws where we live, we may also be able then to base dietary recommendations, lifestyle recommendations, herbal recommendations, supplements, essential oils, things like that on what we're seeing. As a constitutional iridologist, we always combine what the client's symptoms are with what we see in the irides. Now, those of you on Instagram, I know that's not a great picture, so I'm going to move my camera closer so you can see it more clearly. There we go. That's handheld now, so I apologize for the wobble. I hope it doesn't make any of you seasick. All right. So this iris in and of itself shows a very resilient pattern overall. While there are some indications, hi Mooney, good to see you. While there are some indications of slight inherent predispositions in this iris that suggest a little bit of a lower resilience in the digestion and in the surface blood and lymph and in elimination through the skin, the fiber structure of this iris is really nice. When you look at, hi FA, good to see you. When we look at the actual way the fibers, the threads are sitting in this eye, notice that they're predominantly fairly straight, that they are fairly fine, and that there's a high thread count per square inch. If we were to do this like a bed sheet, you know, is it 300 square threads per square inch, or is it 500 or 800 or 1300? This one is fairly high. That means this person has a fairly good resilience. Now, even when we see an iris that suggests that this person has strong resiliency, this person's going to come in with some symptoms. And we have to consider why the client has symptoms, because sometimes the symptoms they have don't match what we think they should be based on their eyes. So this is an important thing. This is why we don't, quote unquote, diagnose from the eyes, because the eyes in constitutional iridology show us where the genetic or the inherent strengths and weaknesses are, right? And so it's like having an old car. Okay, this Rolls Royce, when it was brand new, and you can't see that really great on Instagram, my apologies for that, but when this car was brand new, it would have been amazing. It would have run like a dream. You wouldn't have felt any road bumps. There would have been no road noise. It would have been amazing. The engineering, the quality would have been superb. But if the owner maintained it properly, did the lube jobs, the oil changes, polished it up, did all the right things, this car could have lasted for, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 years. If the owner didn't do that, as this owner did not do that, if this owner neglected the car, did not do the lube jobs, did not do the oil changes, did not wax and polish the exterior, then the car is going to break down. And so we can see, so this is the same with iridology. When we have someone who has a strong constitution, like that first image we looked at, they're blessed with a strong constitution, but if they don't take care, they can end up with poor health. Their eyes say you should have good health, generally speaking overall, but their symptoms say they're experiencing poor health because they didn't do what they needed to do to protect themselves, to maximize their potential. Now, you can have a car of lesser quality, and it can last many, many, many years if you take really good care of it, or you can burn it out pretty quick if you don't take care of it. So we need to remember when we're looking at an iris that it doesn't tell us what is going on in the body. It tells us what the potentials are. So someone else might have been born with less inherent strength, and that would be what we see here. Hi, Flora David, good to see you. What we see here in this image is that this person has less genetic strength, less inherent resilience. But this person could experience really amazingly good health for a very, very long time if they learn the rules of how their body operates. If they learn where the weak links are and how to take care of those, if they learn where the strong places are and how to just keep nurturing those along, this person can experience really amazing health for a very long time. So we can't say to this person, you have a weak constitution. No, they don't. They've got a constitution that needs some nurturing in some areas. And when they do that, they can really do well. They might have less resilience, but that is not the same as a weak constitution. Besides which, how would it make you feel if you went to an iridologist and they looked in your eyes and they went, you've got a weak constitution, right? That's not going to make your day. It's not going to build your energy, right? So when a client comes in with symptoms that don't match their irides, it's because they've earned the right to have those symptoms. While iridology is a blueprint of the body's inherent patterns, it does not account for the abuse that is dished out to the body. It might not even be something as obvious as smoking. It may be something like skimping on sleep or having a sedentary lifestyle. Really, what it comes down to is iridology informs us as to the best ways to take care of our health, to take care of our body through our foods, through our lifestyle, through our supplements. And when we understand our inherent tendencies and patterns, we can be healthy. We can maximize our potential. And in order to help people with this kind of information, we also need to have other modalities, because it does no good to look in someone's eyes and say, I see that it looks like there is a bit of a weak link in this area, if you don't know what to do about it, right? That is just really super important. So important that we have herbology or nutrition or aromatherapy or something else under our belts with which we can help our clients. Otherwise, it's kind of like taking your car to the garage and the guy at the garage says, yeah, I know exactly why your car's making that funny noise, but I don't fix cars. You have to go down the road to Jim. He can fix cars. I can only tell you what's wrong and why it's wrong, but he knows how to fix it. Right, so we need to have a way of being able to coach our clients to wellness based on what we see in their eyes. So here we go. Again, iridologists can also, and I'm going to put this on the stand so I don't get a tired hand. There we go. Iridologists cannot say that a client has diabetes. They cannot say a client has heart disease or psoriasis. We may see indicators in the eyes that can suggest things like that there's an increased risk of things like that, but we cannot pronounce a diagnosis. What we can do is ask questions. So we ask questions like, is there a personal or family history of blood sugar disorders? And even if the client says he has blood sugar disorders, we cannot give it a name. Unless you're a licensed medical practitioner, you cannot give it a name. We can, however, teach him about the markings we see, and we can share with him that this is an indicator that is often seen in the eyes of someone who has those kinds of problems, right? So in this case, it would be problems metabolizing their dietary carbohydrates. We can ask him if he's had dietary counseling. If you have nutrition background, you can make some suggestions there. Because I'm a herbalist, I can also teach him about the herbs that have been used historically in this kind of a situation. Do you hear what I'm saying? Does this make sense? It is a tremendous disservice to our clients, and it's potentially dangerous for us. Hi, Stephanie, good to see you. It's potentially dangerous for the client and for the iridology to do an iris analysis on social media. Now, why would I say that? Couple of reasons. Number one, you don't get to have a real-time conversation with your client, and that is so important. As a practitioner, the information that is provided is massively overwhelming to the the recipient, when we do this on social media, where we have a picture on the screen, we give this long list of things we see, a long list of things it means, and a long list of things they can do about it. It's too much. It overwhelms the client, and they will pick only the 1 or 2 parts that they think are relevant, and they may be missing the entire boat. In my 40 years of experience, I've never seen a client who could absorb and act on a complete dietary and supplement overhaul in one fell swoop. But in my early years as a holistic practitioner, I saw many clients who walked away feeling discouraged, because that's exactly what I did to them. I snowballed them. So important that we are careful with this kind of stuff. We need to also take into account that doing an iris analysis on social media, the photos are going to be rotten, they're going to be lousy, and the color distortion is significant, and the colors need to be accurate. Everyone thinks digital is accurate. I've got a digital camera. I can set that white balance anywhere I want. I can make eyes look like I want them to look. And then when I throw it onto any one of my 3 computers, my tablet or my phone, the colors reproduce differently there. So digital is not accurate for any kind of iris assessment. Now I want you to look at the images you see on this screen here, because this is exactly why I'm saying we can't use photos and social media to do an iris analysis. Most iridologists out there who are practicing old school iridology would look at this and they would say, this image was done at the age of 42. This is the same person at the age of 65. And they would look at this and they would say, oh my goodness, this person has done so much cleansing. Look at how much bluer this eye is. Look at how the orange has faded. Oh, they've cleansed that out. Isn't that wonderful? Look at these marks. They're not as dark. Isn't that lovely? And they're totally wrong. Absolutely, completely, 100%ly totally wrong. What changed here is not a cleanse. These are my husband's eyes. Yes, I feed him well. He feeds himself well. We work with supplements, have done for over 4 decades. And what this actually shows us is a difference in technology. We've got, this was a film print camera that is got stolen actually some 30 years ago. This is an LED digital camera. And so you have to look at things like the color of the sclera, the color of the skin tone. See how different the skin tones are? That's your first dead giveaway, that the color reproduction is not accurate and cannot be compared. This is not the result of cleansing. The fact that these are lighter is not the result of cleansing. It's the result of the pupil being smaller because the light is brighter. And it's a result of that pulling, stretching the fibers out, which pulls them closer together. And that makes things look shallower. Hi, Peggy, good to see you. So we need to be very careful. And to say that this person has accumulated toxins, this is not accurate. It's been shown that pigment in the eye has nothing to do with toxins. You don't cleanse them out. You don't put them in by being exposed to heavy metals or poisons or whatever. This is a dynamic indicator that has come up over age. You can see this has come up over these years. And it says this person's liver inherently is struggling. Hi, Dr. Valizada, I hope I said that right. Says that this person's liver is programmed to be inherently struggling and needs ongoing support, but it's not because of something the client has done wrong. Here's a little case study we'll do. Again, I'm going to move my camera closer together for those of you who are on Instagram so you can see this more clearly. These are the eyes of a female who is 44 years of age. When she came in, she's been a client of mine for about 15 years now. When we did these pictures a few years back, she was 200 pounds, 5 feet 10 inches tall, and she was gaining weight, and she was very distressed about that. She was suffering depression, which is worse in the winter. I live north of the 49th parallel, which means we often have a condition here called seasonal affective disorder, which means because we don't get enough sunlight in the wintertime, it leads to depression in many people. So this client is on a prescription of Zoloft, and she has very, very painful menstrual periods. When I look at her images, what I see is there is an inherent predisposition towards her connective tissue not being very strong. Well, she was complaining of joint aches, so that's explained there. Doesn't mean we leave her with the joint aches, but we now understand why. This is an inherent issue with her maintaining her structure. She has a central heterochromia, so she's got pigment hanging out around the pupil that suggests that and it's a liver color, and that in traditional Chinese medicine, we know that liver is the seat of depression. We know that liver balances hormones. In that central heterochromia, we also have a dirty yellow pigment, which suggests an inherent kidney predisposition. To what? We don't know. We only know that the kidneys want to have a little bit of a struggle. We also see in her left eye that she has a shoe lacuna, which also suggests an inherent kidney predisposition. So when we look at all of these kidney markers, it suggests that she might have problems balancing her acid, and that could lead to joint issues as well. So not only do we have the potential of some issues with connective tissue, we have the potential of her being over acidic. So I asked her about her digestion, and she said she didn't really have any symptoms that were going on there. But her eyes suggest that that might not be the case. And sometimes people have lived with minor issues for so long, they think it's normal. So I asked her also then about elimination, and she says she poops in rabbit pellets, never has a formed bowel movement. I asked her about her coffee consumption, because that's not going to help her acid. Or thank you, FA. Glad to hear that you've enjoyed that. I asked her about her coffee consumption, because coffee affects the liver and the acid balance and your B vitamins and your vitamin C and your calcium and your magnesium. So we've got structure and nerve, right? And so she says she drinks 3 to 4 cups per day. And regardless of what people say about coffee being good for you, it is also hard on the thyroid, the liver, the stomach lining, the adrenal glands, and it increases the acid in the body, and that leads to more inflammation. So we've done a lot of appointments with her over the years, but from this appointment, which it had been a few years since I'd seen her and she was coming back in this appointment, I suggested that she needed to eliminate the coffee, and we'd gone over this many times in years previously, and she had quit many times previously, but she'd gotten back into the habit. So we got her to consider giving up the coffee. I also suggested that she might want to use a collagen supplement to help her with her structure, and also to help her with her gut lining, that she might want to use some digestive enzymes to help her digest her foods better, and that we wanted to increase her leafy greens for alkalizing and to support her liver. A month later, when she came back, she had done all of that, and she was again pleased and surprised at how well her joints had improved. Yeah, we've done this before, girlfriend. Need to keep doing this again, right? Her periods had improved and her depression was slightly better. So now we took it to the next level, and I asked her about her water intake, because the kidneys need water. She said she was drinking about 3 glasses of water per day. I asked her about her sleep, because sleep is the seat of most insomnia according to traditional Chinese medicine. And she said her sleep had been broken for many years, that it was, she sleeps in cat naps all night. So we took her fluid. Peggy is saying collagen is fabulous. Yes, Peggy, it absolutely is. Thanks for sharing that. And she's talking about the Nature Sunshine Collagen Peptides, beautiful product. We suggested that she needed to get protein at every meal, especially vegetarian protein in her case. I asked her to ask her doctor about getting a prescription for a SAD lamp so it could be covered with her health care. And I suggested that she needed to get walking for 30 minutes per day at a gentle pace outside in the sunshine, and that she needed to be drinking at least 6 glasses of water per day. Now, you and I know that she needs more than that when she weighs 200 pounds, but we can't take her from 3 glasses or 24 ounces to 100 ounces overnight. So we do this in steps and stages to help her be more successful. In the third appointment, when she came back a month later, she was really, really pleased because her doctor had agreed that she needed a sat lamp, gave her a prescription for it. She started using it properly and was feeling so much better for that. She had increased her water really nicely, was easily doing the 6 glasses a day. Her protein was pretty good, still a little room for improvement there. And she was struggling to get the walks in every day. So we talked about different strategies for that. Now I want you to consider, as you look at her eyes, did I diagnose anything? Did I tell her she had any specific disease processes? No, I didn't. Did I ask her questions? Absolutely, I did. I took the symptoms she came in with, I looked at the eyes, let the eyes help me understand why those symptoms would be happening, and then asked more questions to get the information I needed to build a program for her. Peggy says, no, I didn't diagnose. And that's exactly correct. I did not diagnose. And that's how we do iridology properly. Do you see how that works? See how that works? So we cannot diagnose, we cannot prescribe. And here's what I'm hoping you're taking away from this, that too many iridologists do diagnose, too many of them do prescribe. We can't do that. The safest way to practice iridology and to be of the best service to your clients is to study and use constitutional iridology as a guide to assessing your client's irides and your client's needs. Temper everything you do with questions and conversations, and then make health promoting suggestions. So if you want to learn more, if that has tickled your fancy, hi Forever Grateful, good to see you. If that has tickled your fancy, again, I encourage you to hop on over to iridology.education/course-info. The next series of Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology will be starting on July 30th. Classes will run 5 till 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. 20 live 2-hour-long classes. All of the registration information is on that website, iridology.education/course-info. Thank you so much for being with me today. I've enjoyed this. I haven't seen any other questions, few comments and a few waves, and I appreciate those so much. Haven't seen any other questions come in. You can always reach out to me on social media, and I'm happy to answer questions for you about the program and about iridology in general. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and I will see you again on Friday. Bye for now.